Welcome back. Today we got a couple other students on the channel today and talking about their farm, their experience with our coaching program, and what led them into growing microgreens. So let's get into it. And welcome, Bill and Cindy. How are you?
Doing great.
Good.
Can you guys introduce yourself and give a little bit of background and your story?
Sure.
Mhm.
You go.
I'm Cindy. That's my husband, Bill. We've been growing microgreens.
Since January.
We grew them just for us, for health reasons. Needed lots of good nutrition, and microgreens are just a great option to offer that. And then,
Nice.
then we decided that we
Officially started the business in January 2024 and been growing ever since.
Were you guys growing before that for yourselves or anything, or
Mhm.
was it just jumped right into the business?
growing for ourselves, but quickly, we wanted to find something that we could do together as a couple. And when we started learning more about microgreens and realized the importance of good food, it became a no-brainer that we should try to do this to make a profit off of, but helping people all at the same time.
You got interested because of the health benefits.
Yes.
Did I hear that right? Yeah.
That is
And decided to go into it for business in January 2024, which we started January 2021. Seems like that's the time frame everybody starts something new and gets going, right?
For ourselves in 2023, and we thought it was fun. It wasn't too difficult. Boy, a 10-day grow time makes things easy to learn and try again and keep growing. So we started off with an 8x8 grow tent and one rack. And that presented some interesting challenges. You still got to manage the humidity and temperature and all of that. And so we took it out of the tent and started growing. I think we added another rack using the whole thing. People are interested in what we were doing as well. So we thought, well, maybe we can make this into something that would be helpful for others, as helpful for ourselves. And then I think the end of January 2024, we found Itty Bitty Microgreens and the Microgreen Business Coaching Program.
Mhm.
Rolling ever since.
And that
Ever since.
was a game changer for us when we
Yes.
got with the group. And just hearing what you guys were doing, we knew it was possible. All the support that we got from you guys, questions answered all throughout the day, phone calls, just that inspiration to really, dig in and go, all right, we can do this. And I remember we started with home deliveries, which was great, but they puttered out pretty quickly, unfortunately. We live out in the country, and I was driving all over the same. We had to do something different. And I started calling CSAs, and I got our first order from a CSA. Not if you remember, Mike, but it was 250 clam
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Like we weren't doing that at that point. And it's not that big now, but it's like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? So we hopped on a call with both you and Jessica, and you guys walked us through it. That was huge for us. Our first big customer. It was game changing to know we could do it with your clients.
How did you end up getting that order? Somebody starting new, that's a big jump, a few home deliveries, all of a sudden you get a 250 clamshell order from a CSA. Was that something you were going after or just kind of fell in your lap?
I went after it. So
Okay.
I know we're going to talk about restaurants in a few minutes, and that really is where we are, our focus is now. But I was terrified to do restaurants, so I was going to find everything else I could before I went to the restaurants. That was my motivation, and I Googled it, CSAs in my area, and started calling around. I got 2 CSAs through that. The first one was the 250 clamshells, and I talked to the guy one day, and the next day I went and brought our fresh sheet to show him what he could pick from, and he gave me an order on the spot. The other came from talking to one farm, wasn't a real CSA, but he was able to connect me to another CSA, got my foot in the door because they were not responding to me. But once I got my foot in the door, they've been a consistent customer since the beginning. So that good.
And that's really been a consistent thing. Somebody knows somebody else. Our advice to folks getting into it is we've experienced a welcoming community of growers, restaurants, and CSAs. And, if they see that you're very genuine and you've got a good product and you're trying to grow your business and offer quality microgreen product, they're willing to help and direct you in other areas. Go out and keep meeting people.
Keep those connections.
Connections, you can grow the best, most beautiful product. If you don't have connections, you're in trouble. You're not going to be in business long.
Exactly.
At all.
Right.
So that's an amazing story, because I remember that time when you guys like, hey, we need help. Can you get on a call with us? And we're like, sure. Here's a link. Let's talk about it. Glad we can help you out with that. It's been good for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty nervous about that. We went from like rack and a half. We had to buy 4 racks and a bunch of get on to Bootstrap Farmer and a whole bunch of trays. And then,
It was stressful.
but it proved that we could do this. It was stressful at first, but then we're like, it's planting, watering, and harvesting on a bigger scale, but we get
All the same.
Once you get into that rhythm, it's just part of what you do. It's not a big deal anymore.
It just feels like that's what you've always done.
Like that.
Any big challenges you faced in the first few months of starting your business?
When we were first growing, I was frustrated. We had peas, sunflower, broccoli, and radish. Starting out with the sort of the basic 4. We're having a lot of mold problems with the sunflower, preventing us from feeling really confident to really go out. This is before the CSA, and do it. And we were following procedures we learned online and from courses that we had taken. And then I think once we had gotten in with you guys and we had great conversations with you and Jess, but also others in the group, we realized, okay, look, there's some things I'm doing differently from growing my sunflower. I need to, not check them every day when they're in germination, which allows more air and mold to get in and a few other things. And then they started coming up better, and that really grew. Yeah. So from a crop perspective, that was probably the biggest concern at the time. It was mental. Can we really make this work? Can we do this? The encouragement from you and others in the group helped us give it a try.
That community aspect of the group is huge. That's why I love being on school. It's SKOOL.com. And if you're going to be in any organization, that school platform is so good because you're got a community within your own group there that of other people that can help out. There's a lot of times people answer questions before I do because we've already taught them or teach them or was in a Zoom or something, and they can help somebody new and answer the questions. So I think that community is worth more than the courses.
We've learned so much more through the community, than any course. And, we're tackling a lot of different, harder crops now, with this past year. And I will say, cilantro and amaranth, we would not have survived without the group. We're close to feeling confident with it. We wouldn't have had that or been able to probably get through that if we didn't have that community and just, sending pictures and, getting that feedback. It's been huge.
Yeah, it's more than a course or a mentor or Zooms. That's why I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of challenges, was there any moment you guys were like, say the first 6 months, a year, even, because that's usually the most challenging part of getting through a business is that first year where you've like, this isn't going to work or felt like you wanted to give up or anything like that?
I don't think we have ever said we want to give up.
Nice.
There've been moments that, Mike, we talked
Yeah.
to you. Sometimes you overwork. Your time is valuable. This is not for the faint of heart, but it's doable. When we get frustrated, we just kind of remind ourselves of, all right, why are we doing this? And the income we're generating for our future is important. I think you need to come back to your goals and focus on that. Whatever the issue is, it gets solved. You move forward, and then you have a couple good days, and something else. What else happened? The humidity is too high in the grow room, or whatever it is. It all works out.
Yeah. Most of these crops grow in 10 days.
Right.
You can correct it fast.
Right. Yeah.
You ain't got to wait 4 months to figure out you failed.
That's
Traditional farming.
The fun part that I liked about the farmers markets, we could do that.
Yeah.
And you get to meet the people, and they're just so appreciative and understand that the value of what you're bringing and want to talk about it, having you use it, giving you ideas. We hadn't grown wasabi until someone at one of the farmers markets said, boy, it'd be great to get something more spicier. and we said, oh, I think there is something, wasabi. And so we started growing that, and people just loved it. And some chefs to this day really enjoy it. But the tough days are outweighed by seeing how it affects people's lives.
Yeah. Being out in the public and in that environment helps get you through tough times and see people enjoying your product. If you never see your customers, it's hard to experience that. Another reason why I love farmers markets. So we've talked a little bit about mistakes and, sunflowers and everything like that. But was there any big mistakes in the early going that you guys wish you would have avoided? If you could go back and change anything, not growing in the tent.
Yeah, definitely not growing in tent.
That was a big mistake. It was an 8x8. What I found out was that when the grow rack, and you put the wheels on the bottom like that, it doesn't actually fit. It's taller than 8 feet. I took a hacksaw and cut the top of the rack off.
Wow.
So it fit in there just barely. At that point, I'm like, this is probably a mistake, but I was all in. You had to make it work. On paper, it was a good idea, but then you get the humidifier in there, a mini one, and then I got to put the fan on the side, so that I wouldn't
get the vent to go out.
That is not good. But I think we went at our own pace. The CSA pushed us hard, but once we figured that out, we've had good discussions over the year of how do we grow at a good pace for us, right? This is not our sole job right now. I still have my W-2 corporate job. Cindy still works part-time for an online company. The idea is this will help us move out of that. But in the meantime, we still get those jobs. So let's grow in a way that helps us move forward and pushes us a little bit, but not so much that we're just don't want to continue.
Now just go with the correct space. That's a good lesson for a lot of people. Everybody wants to go gung-ho. You want to make it successful and take everything on. Right. But you got to go at a good pace, great for your situation.
Yeah.
Like we went all in at 6 months, just dived in. If not, we get a job, but that's not for everybody. And I do not recommend that for everybody because not everybody's in that situation that you can do that. But so like what Bill and Cindy are doing and like growing it to the level where it's not pushing them, where they can enjoy their life, but they're still building something and eventually where they can quit their jobs and everything else. That's the correct pace for most people.
Right.
So recommend your path better for most people.
Yes, probably. It really bad for a marriage if it didn't.
Yes.
Bill does have to pull me in a little bit, not to go out to too many restaurants at once.
I call Cindy the restaurant queen of our group because she is killing it, getting restaurants. Great job on that. But yeah, we'll get into that a little bit here. Kind of starting out. But so how has your microgreen business evolved since you started? Like you guys, I know we talked about it a little bit. You were thinking about home deliveries and now you're more restaurant, right?
We are probably 70% restaurants. We have 2 grocery stores also. And 2 CSAs and the rest are restaurants. Yeah.
What, 15 restaurants right here?
16. 16
restaurants.
Yeah. Tomorrow I go out. I'm so excited. There's a couple of them. I can't wait to go. And I don't know how quickly you want to get into this, but I have chefs telling me, you need to see this person. And
nice.
I, my last chef already called the chef at this other restaurant and said, she's coming. Be ready. There's work already done for me.
When warm leads start happening, that is magical.
Yeah, it's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're like 5 times. We only got like 6 restaurants. Every time I talk to you, you got 2 more restaurants. So I expect at our next meeting, you're going to have 2 more restaurants by then.
No.
That's great. Where are we going to put those trays?
Yeah.
Space.
Right. Oh, I know.
Going up.
Because we were in a garage converted into what we call the grow room now. And we do have tall ceilings. So, Bill is looking at ways that we can build higher racks and fulfill, do that way as opposed to going outside and having to find a bigger facility. We're not ready for that.
Use every space before you move.
Yes.
We use every space.
Yes.
Keep going up, expand it to other parts, all of it.
That's good advice. We've rearranged that grow room at least 4 times because every time we look at it a little bit differently, they think, oh, wait, if we move that over here, then we can fit another rack there. Or if we get rid of, it was our garage and rec area, right? Well, if we get rid of that treadmill that's been sitting there for 3 years, we can put a refrigerator out there. It's getting creative with your space. And the more you really think about it, I believe we have 10 racks in there now. We've got another one mostly for drying trays and stuff like that. But
don't forget about that space. You need room to clean the trays, dry the trays, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, be creative and think about, not that we can't do it. It's like, how can I do this? What would have to change to fit another rack or do something different? We've been good at taking that mentality of what would need to happen.
Lots of rearranging.
And they do make taller shelves. You may not be able to reach in the water, but they do make taller shelves. But
Yeah,
step ladders work great. Benches. Jess was using a bench to water the top shelf when we were still back then. So you get creative. You find ways if you gotta make it fit, right?
I refuse to tell somebody no. This one might be like, sorry, I can't do that. But I'm like, no, we have this order. We're going to do it. So we just have to figure out how to do it.
It's hard to tell somebody when they want to give you money.
I know, right? Especially if it's a chef.
Come on. What's been the most effective strategy of getting new customers, new chefs?
Oh my goodness.
The clipboard.
This is my little clipboard. I mean, this clipboard is old, I will say. I'm pretty sure I had it when I was teaching. That is what my strategy is. And that came from you guys. You always have to go to the back to the kitchen. Don't go. I was so nervous when I first started. I thought of that movie. He said that you have 20 seconds of pure courage. Just go out there and do it. That's what I do. Once you're in the door, you got to do something because they're all looking at you.
What do you say when you walk in the door?
Yeah.
Typically, I ask, where's the chef? They'll tell me who it is. If not, I go up and introduce myself. My name is Cindy. I'm with Goochland Greens. I use Microgreen Farm in Goochland County. I'm reaching out to local restaurants that support local farms. I have some samples for you that I'd like to give you. Well, I have yet to have a chef say no to a free sample of microgreens. They get excited. It's cool. And, I give them to them. And, a lot of times they'll pop them open right then and taste them. And, and they always like them. And then, I'll go into a little bit more. We harvest on a Monday, deliver on Tuesday. So they're as fresh as you get. You can't get anything fresher.
Yeah.
And I typically start with something. I usually have my base of the salad mix and wasabi. Those are the basics. And then you go from there. And once they've tasted those, then I give them my fresh sheet that lists everything that we offer with the pricing. And then I say, look this over. What catches your eye? What samples can I bring you next time? And a lot of times they'll tell me, they'll look at, oh yeah, I like some cilantro or whatever. And, write it down because then that gives you the in to come back to see them in a week or two because they're expecting these samples. So then you go back and I always get their name and hopefully their cell number. And then that way, if you have any questions in the meantime, you could text them. Sometimes I will text them and just say, hey, thanks so much for seeing me today. Looking forward to bringing samples. Other times I don't. I wait for that second meeting.
Yep.
But it really is just telling them a little bit about, your farm and the freshness. Because a lot of places, what they order, they don't last. They don't hold up. They'll tell me that. And our pricing is good. We don't ask for a contract or have a minimum. And they love that because they just, I think they're so bombarded with all these contracts and what they have to order and such. Now we're a small farm, so we can do that. I haven't had issues with my chef with not having a contract though. Yeah.
I think it's better. If you start a contract or you have minimums, like you said, if you don't have that stuff, that takes down a barrier. right? And
Right.
it takes away for them to say no. You want to take away
Mhm.
any possibility of a no. Don't give them an option to say no. Sales 101. Make them
Yeah.
only be able to say yes. You get it
Right.
down to where they have to say yes.
Mhm.
That's the best way. No contract, no less than that. Getting their cell phone number right away. If I got the cell number right away, I'd text them the next day. Hey, it was nice meeting you. I hope you're enjoying your samples. If you need anything, let me know. Maybe before I go back with samples, they're short
Yeah.
on something and they can call or text,
Right.
and then you give them the option to get a hold of you.
Right.
That's the only reason I would do it that way. If you want to wait a week or something like that, that's, personal preferences, obviously, but
Yeah.
I want to give them the quickest way to get a hold of me.
Right. On our fresh sheet, I have our business card with
Oh,
my
yeah.
phone number. But if they had it in their phone, that does help.
Chefs will lose papers.
Yeah. Yes.
That's why you bring one every time, right?
Right. Exactly. They
Because
do.
they'll set it down and get dirty. Somebody will throw it away. You never know what's
Uh-huh.
going to happen.
Yep.
If you've never worked
Yep.
in a restaurant or a kitchen, things get crazy.
They do. It
That's
just
awesome.
it's crazy when I go in there.
And you
Gosh.
don't go during busy times.
Sometimes I see stuff and I'm like, I don't think you're supposed to be doing that.
As long as they're not killing anybody. Cindy's been killing it. She's got awesome strategies. She just gave away gold to learn how to get into restaurants. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And you got, what, 15 you said? 16?
Yeah. 16. 16.
16.
Yeah.
And probably in 2 weeks, she's going to have 20.
Probably.
She's going out prospecting. Well, that's the other thing. You go out every week.
Every week. Every Thursday, I go out between 2 and 4 and hit as many restaurants as I can. And so that would be restaurants that I've never been to and then follow-up restaurants. And you've got to do the follow-up because most of the time, now I've had a couple, but most of the time you're not going to get an order at first time you go in. And so it can be multiple visits. And don't get discouraged because sometimes it can take months. Like they kept going, maybe whatever. And I almost gave up. It was probably 2 months. And I went back and they had a new chef and he gave me an order right away. You just got to keep going back. You don't want to be pesky, but just keeping that contact with them. And after the first few times, you don't have to bring samples anymore. You just go in and say, hey, just touching base. Another thing I try to do is find out something personal about the chef. Then you can go in and ask, if you know something about their family. I've got a chef who's been working on a tattoo sleeve for once. Well, it's finally done. What's about it? When I went in to deliver on Tuesday, he took his shirt off and was showing it to me. He was so excited.
Yeah.
You have to build personal relationships with the chefs. Take a minute, ask them a personal question. Write notes. I have their big index cards that I write stuff about my restaurants.
Nice.
The ones I deliver to, the ones I don't deliver to yet, just so that I can keep all that, because it's hard to remember it all.
Yeah.
When going out, I have it all the time. I refresh my memory. So that's another tip. Keeping it personal is
The roll.
no.
No, you can't remember all that. I mean, especially when you're 16 restaurants and you probably contacted 30. You're not going to remember every single conversation. So I'm assuming you go like immediately after talking to them and write it down when you get back to the car.
I
Don't do it
do,
in front of
yeah.
them. Wait till you get back to the car.
Yeah. In the back on my flipboard, I just have plain paper
Uh-huh.
so that when this is where I write the chef's information, samples he wants, or anything else he tells me, I'm writing it down.
Yeah.
And then I go back and I transfer it. But, just having this spare paper is really good just to have on hand all the time when you're delivering, because you might have a chef say, hey, I'm going to swap out leeks for cilantro. And so you just quickly write it down, then, you'll remember later. Well, you won't remember. You will because you wrote it down.
Your paper will remember.
Yes.
I want to touch on what you said about follow-up. 99.9% of sales are made on follow-ups. They're not made on the first contact. Probably it's the second or third, usually fourth or fifth. That's when you start really building rapport. And that's when with my experiences, that's when you really get people. I don't think we've ever got a chef on first touch. Heck, one chef we touched like 6 times and we stopped. And one day he came by the farmer's market and he tapped on the table and he's like, I'm ready to take your stuff. Come see me on Tuesday. You know, like, so you never know when it's going to happen, right?
Well, you
But you
don't.
got to do that follow up. Keep that open communication going.
Absolutely. And that's so important. Don't give up. Unless it's clear they don't want your microgreen, just keep going back.
Yeah,
Or
until they throw you out.
say it again.
Keep going back.
Well, yeah. I had a chef, the restaurant got closed. And it was a shock to him. He texted me and told me, hey, I don't need your microgreens anymore.
We're not
And
there.
yeah, I was like, sorry. And this was before Christmas, so right after Christmas. I just texted him, hey, I've been thinking about you. I hope you've landed on your feet. And he texted me back right away. And he was at a new restaurant. He said, come by and see me. Crazy thing is, he quit. He's at another restaurant. He's already had me come once. And I'm going back tomorrow for the second round. He's been talking to the executive chef about me, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get an order. Keeping that contact up,
Yeah.
follow-up is key.
Yeah, follow-up is key. Like, you never know when a chef's going to leave. Having their personal phone number, like Sydney, it's like, that's key. They'll jump around. They may be at this restaurant, and you've got that one, you're selling to them already, and they leave and go to another restaurant where you got that restaurant. Now you got to contact at that restaurant, and you can add more restaurants on by the chef just moving around.
Exactly.
Don't wish that on chefs to move around, but it's going to happen.
But it does happen. That's good. We made hats with our logo and I gave them to several of our restaurants. And
Nice.
one of the owners, who's also the chef, he was wearing it the other day and he told me, he said, everybody's been asking me about this.
Nice.
And I wasn't sure if it was working, but he said it does. That was good. We have our sweatshirts when we deliver. Another chef said, I want one. And he was the envy of the restaurant because there's advertising, but seeing your name and making personal connections is key. It's good to have for
that community, right? Community of chefs in an area, right?
Yes.
There's one little restaurant where it was a new restaurant opening up, and you went in for the first time. The chef said, I heard about you. I was going to call you.
Cool.
That's awesome.
So it's that community of chefs, and they all seem to know each other.
Networking is.
And the chefs share their pictures, right? They know what each other's cooking, what each other is making, everything else. And then they see your microgreens on their plate that you're showing. They're like, hey, them look way better. Where are you getting them from?
Yeah.
And then they pass on your information. So that even helps. Like, if you got restaurants, make sure they share pictures. If they're on Instagram and sharing their pictures of their stuff, make sure you reshare that, you know, and be like, I love seeing my microgreens on blah, blah, blah plate or something like that, and share it again, because then that's just going to help push us up. They're going to see that. They're going to love that. And again, that's that connection and that personal backing that you have with them.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Help each other.
Oh, yeah.
Now that you got 16 restaurants, soon to be 20, how are you balancing all the growing, marketing, sales, all that stuff? How are you guys balancing all that?
Well, I say we probably do better on some of it than others. We have our website, Instagram, Facebook. One of our goals for 2025 is to turn our attention back to marketing. I need to work on the website to improve our SEO capabilities there. Our Instagram, we did a lot while we were at the farmers market and starting restaurants last year, but I haven't touched it in a while. One of the chefs said, I was looking at your website and you have things on your fresh sheets that's not on your website. I need to update that.
See?
So there's trade-offs, right?
Yeah.
We've done a good job at balancing that's helping the sales part, obviously, and then coming back and say, okay, now we've got these new orders operationally. How do we handle this?
Yeah.
I think that's been really good. The marketing side, we need to spend a little time on this in 2025 and getting our processes a little bit more efficient, right? I think we did a nice job reacting to some of the sales that we've got, but there's definitely opportunities where we can reduce some of the time it takes to plant and to harvest. We've been looking at watering. Is there ways that we can change that around? So really looking at all the efficiencies to see how we can get a little bit of time back here and be more productive.
Since we're doing this together, it is nice that Bill has his specific things that he does and I have and so that really is helpful, to have somebody you're doing it with and have those roles set early on.
Yes.
It done. it went pretty well. It wasn't like we had time to sit and decide who was doing what, because you kind of go to what
Yeah.
you a little more comfortable having those roles is good.
Yeah, when you're just starting, you're figuring it out. Nobody knows what they're doing yet. You don't know your role. You kind of gravitate to roles like I said, he's selling everything, getting all these restaurants. And then Bill's got to be like, where are we going to put it all? How are we going to grow it? And all that and everything else. So, but you don't want to forget about, the fact that you still need to be marketing your business, which, going out, touching restaurants is marketing. That's definitely marketing, handling the sales of that, how to take payments. What are you going to do with that? Are you taking checks, credit cards, ACH payments, all that stuff? You got to think about when you get more clients. There's a
Right.
lot more to this business that's in growing microgreens and delivering them.
Yeah, we quickly got somebody to start washing trays for us.
Yes.
And that was small, but a big, we didn't need to be washing trays. We had other things that we needed to be doing. As you grow your business, you have to spend money, to make money to be able to grow. And don't be afraid of that process. And obviously you got to be comfortable with it, but don't wait too long, because stuff like that weighs you down, and then you really can't be doing what's most important. And that was one of the reasons that we wanted to get somebody in to wash trays as quickly as possible, so that I could go out and do the marketing, because I do the deliveries, and then to go into the restaurants. That's key. Thursdays from 2 to 4 are the most important times in our business. We have to do whatever to make that happen.
And if you're stuck cleaning trays,
Yeah.
you're not growing your business. To me, that's the biggest bug in the beginning of business, cleaning the trays, because they got to be done. You got to reuse them. It takes you away from sales maybe a day. That's one less day touching customers, one less day working on a website, one less day doing book work. Don't let that stuff get away from you, especially the back end book work, because that will haunt you at the beginning of the year, which everybody's going through right now.
Yeah.
As we look at, she's come back with the orders. That's great. What we're finding is if we don't track our yields at every harvest, then we'll end up probably planting more trays than we need to, because our yields have gone up over the last 6-7 months as we transitioned over to coast of Maine and other lighting changes we made. We find that if we do a better job at really managing the yields, then we don't have to plant as much, or I have more room available. We've increased our yields, so I don't have to plant as many trays. I've got spacing for the new trays that come down.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the things we're trying to get better at this year. I'd say we did a good job, but now that we're really starting to grow and we want to try to stay in this space, how are we more efficient in managing our yields and our grow rates so we've got the room to continue?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because just because somebody grows 300 trays don't mean they're very profitable, because if they're getting 5 ounces off all them trays, that's not profitable. But so if you can grow less trays and you can get better yield, and you get, and still make the same amount of sales, that is where you're going to make money, because the soil is going to cost the same per tray, right? No matter. So if you get 12 ounces instead of 8, that's 2 more packages at retail for grocery stores for us. It's another pack for a restaurant. That's huge in sales and profit.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you guys are working on that, because I think that is where, once you get going and where you guys are at year end, I wish we would have done it sooner. I wish somebody would have told me about better soil amendments. I wish I would have known that in the beginning, because it would have saved us a lot of money, a lot of space. We may have been able to stay at the house longer, because we didn't get all that stuff till we came to the warehouse and figured all that out. So I'm glad you guys are figuring that out and able to stay longer.
Well, we're figuring that out because you guys and the Microsoft Business Coaching Group, these are things we talk about, right? What are the yields? How much yields do you get? Find out when you and Jess, but you guys have been doing this longer. So we aspire to, but then we can kind of calibrate with what are other folks who've been growing about the same time.
Yeah.
It's not unusual for me to message one of the other folks in the group saying, hey, I heard you. As a matter of fact, one woman said, I've nailed cilantro, so I've got this. Well, I messaged her. I was like, how are you nailing cilantro? Yeah. What are you doing? And then through that interaction, our cilantro has gotten a lot better over last year. It's really through the group. You hear about it, hear what's new, hear how to be more efficient, how folks are doing stuff so we can improve on our end.
Get that.
And that's another thing. There is a course in classrooms. But one thing I forgot to mention is you can DM other members. Like we got a personal question like about cilantro, you can DM them. You have to be at a certain level. You can't just come in and start DMing people and spamming, but you can get in there and ask questions directly, and they can message, and you guys can make some relationships as well in there,
Right.
which is what a community is all about. I'm glad you brought that up, Bill.
That's huge.
Is there any time you had to pivot or change your strategy for business growth?
We touched on the intentional shift away from direct to consumer
Mhm.
in retail. We were largely focused on that the first few months. It was a good way to start. But at one point, especially as she started getting some traction with a few restaurants, we're like, all right, we need to stop and we need to move in this direction. So we still got a couple of folks that we do a delivery for here and there, but as the majority is restaurants, a couple of CSAs and
Grocery stores, yeah.
so that was a really intentional, just because it was too inconsistent.
Well, we just started looking at how much we were making, and we knew we wanted to grow. And I started figuring out how much restaurant packaging would be. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to figure out how to go to restaurants, because this is where we can shine. We are blessed to be in an area that is a real foodie city, and so there's just a lot of restaurants out there, and local restaurants. Chain restaurants are really difficult to get into. Don't even bother with them.
No.
Go to the local ones and check out their Instagram. You can see some of their dishes. I've gone in and said, hey, the wasabi would be really good on your swordfish.
Yeah.
Like, what serving, you can make recommendations for that. And then once you have some restaurants and you know what your restaurants are using your microgreens for, you can share that with other restaurants too.
You made a good point though. Your area is very foodie, a lot of local restaurants. So you got a lot of supply there to go to. You got a lot of potential customers. For us here, we're more capital city, more chain stuff. It's more things like that. You do have a little bit. We have some restaurants, obviously, but you don't have the majority like that. So our pivot was to go to grocery stores, home deliveries, and farmers markets for our area. You have to figure out what is good for your area as well. So, but there's many sales outlets for microgreens. They're not just one, luckily, right?
Correct. Thank goodness.
We've talked about the retirement communities around here. They've got their main houses where they eat in their facilities, some health food stores. We're focused on restaurants, but there's opportunities outside of that as well.
Yeah. I was talking to another member of our community. He went to a retirement home. They seemed interested and everything else. And I said, so how's the follow-up going? He's like, well, I haven't been back in 4 weeks.
Oh,
you need to go back today. Get off this call, go back and talk to them. He did a couple days later. He went back and talked to them, and lo and behold, they had 3 locations out of that food part. He got all 3 locations for his microgreens.
That's awesome.
By following up.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
Follow up.
Key. Glad you found the pivots. We started home deliveries, farmers markets, grocery stores. You guys started that kind of same realm and pivoted to restaurants. So you're going to find your pivot. Where you start may not be where your business ends up.
Exactly.
Most likely will.
Right.
Did you like starting there, the restaurant, or at home deliveries / farmers markets? Did you like doing that in the beginning? Did it get your feet wet? Did you get comfortable?
It was good to get our feet wet and get a feel for the process. Meeting people and getting your name out in the community is good. So the market, our farmers market, wasn't great. It's not like what you guys have and the profit that is there, but just for the process for us starting out, I think it's a great place to go. I don't know if we'll do another farmers market this year.
Well, they shut down the one that I did last year. So
sad. I hate when farmers markets close.
They're selling the property. There's some kind of building there.
Oh man.
But so we've been talking about, do we want to do it again or not? We're going to be selective about if we do it, which one we do. Because it's great to meet people and get immediate feedback and learn new things that people are interested in. We'll see.
We started with 6 farmers markets.
That's amazing.
We're down to maybe 1 this year. We're still deciding if we're even going to that one.
One thing we did learn at the farmers markets, at our market, there was another grower who sold microgreens and other things at other markets. We often heard was we were growing things the other ones didn't. So a lot of the other ones would have broccoli or some radish or peas and things like that, which is great. But we would have a salad mix. We'd have the brassica mix. We had the wasabi. We had things that others didn't offer. And people would come over and I still remember this one woman walking by as the microgreens, blah, blah. Oh, you have wasabi. Oh, I didn't know that. Diversify a bit and just get a mix off of truly for something that's already put together or create it yourself. That's what diversifies. That has diversified us from the other growers.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is just going out and really doing like Cindy does every week, going out to restaurants and not just waiting on Facebook and farmers markets, but put yourself out there. And that's really helped us so far. And I think it'll continue to be beneficial.
Yeah, don't wait for them because you'll be out of business.
And when I go into one of our grocery stores, customers come up to you and ask about them. What a great time to share about microgreens, and doing tastings there is another good thing, to try to just really to educate people on microgreens. A lot of people still don't know what they are.
Our number one sales at grocery stores are the ones we sample it.
Wow.
Anytime they invite you to go sample it, if you're going to grocery stores, if you're in grocery stores, is go. Like make whatever accommodations you got to go. Make sure you go to that. We got 25 grocery stores. We can't go to all of them, right? And sample. Because usually they all have events on the same days. A lot of them are the same chains. So they all have the events on the same day. There's only 2 of us. We can't get to all 25 of them. Impossible. But we tried. But the ones we do get to, you see immediate increase in sales. Now, you don't stay there. You'll go back down a little bit, but you're going to be higher than when you were there before.
Right.
It's definitely worth it. Sample anytime you get a chance to sample the product.
That's
So let's talk. What's your big goal for your microgreen business? The dream.
The dream.
The dream is right. So to be as efficient and successful as possible so that we can both eventually quit the other jobs. Right? But it's really to be able to provide restaurants, but individuals as well, great quality products, and to be able to help others. Growing microgreens is not difficult, right? And there's a lot of...
Well, unless you're growing cilantro.
All right, well, except for cilantro. And maybe not sunflower right off the bat. Broccoli. There are a lot of people in this country who don't have access to fresh produce, right?
Yeah.
If we could show them how to really simply grow some microgreens in your home. How do you make it easy? How do you make it simple and really help people eat healthy, right? It's part of our vision. How can we effectively do that? We've been talking about food pantry near us and a couple of churches that do things. We wanted to give back to them.
Yeah.
Give them, if we have extras, or make some extra. To help the community around us, I think is really, would be fulfilling along with just continue to grow our...
That's awesome. You can only get there by having a successful business, taking care of yourself first, and then you can give back and everything else. So that's our goal too. My goal is to freeze dry this product, make it into powders, so we can give it to communities that don't have refrigeration around the world, around the states, around the United States. They can still get nutritional food into them by giving them some products that they don't have to worry about refrigeration. So that's my ultimate goal, is to be able to give it away to communities. So I like your vision. That's awesome.
Yeah.
If there's one piece of advice you get somebody that's starting out today, what would that be?
I go back to what Cindy said earlier, the whole, we bought a zoo thing. Seconds, just be courageous, whether it's going into a restaurant or getting an order of 250 clamshells and picking, and just say, all right, we can do this.
We can do this.
I'm not exactly sure yet, but we can do this.
Yes.
Give it a shot. Don't be scared. Give it a try. We're a family of faith. Pray about it. Figure out how to move forward. Find good folks that can help you out.
Yeah.
Like those in this coaching group, this community. And don't be scared. Go make it happen.
Yeah.
Awesome. What is one thing about running a microgreen business that you didn't realize in the beginning that you would be doing?
That you'd be so good at selling in restaurants.
Yeah. That has been a really fun thing to find out.
That you were actually a salesperson?
I've done a little sales here and there, but not to this level. It's been fun to find that out.
The fun thing too is that it's a very dynamic thing, right? I mean, it's not just growing the same products, right? I mean, there's all kinds of different varieties. We were in popcorn last year for the first time. That was amazing.
Yeah.
And they looked awesome.
Early on, we were trying out powders. This is new and interesting, right? And you've got folks like yourselves and others do popcorn, right? And there's all kinds of different components to it that I think is it's so much fun. It's not a stagnant. You learn new stuff all the time. Some of it's great. Let's try this. Some of it's, well, maybe that's more aspirational. We'll do that, in 6 months or a year. But there's just so much fun stuff to learn about. I hadn't anticipated that. And it's been one of the most fun parts.
There's a lot of cool things you can do beyond just growing broccoli. Although we
Yeah.
should all be eating broccoli. There's a lot of fun things you can do.
Every day.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you're new getting into this, just be open-minded. There's lots of fun stuff out here. The groups, people, and the chefs and all that everybody's helpful and nice and wants to help you do grow and produce good quality foods for the community. It's a lot of fun.
Is there any words of encouragement you could give to somebody or anything that would help them scale their business faster?
I would say don't hold back. Really get out there and knock on doors. It doesn't. If you don't want to go to restaurants, all right, don't go to restaurants, but go to grocery stores. Talk to the produce manager, or the farmers markets. There are so many different outlets for microgreens, and sometimes it's just about being a little creative and thinking out of the box, and find what interests you. Maybe the retirement communities.
Health food stores,
Yeah.
gyms. And there's a couple of folks in our community that sell out gyms, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You don't have the excuse that you can't find the business, because it's there. You've got to get out there, be motivated, and try. If you don't ask, you're never going to know. Go out and ask for the sale. Bring your sample with you.
Yeah, if you never ask for a sale, it's a no.
Right. Like Bill was saying, we just don't have people rude about it. Everybody has been so open to the microgreens. I think people want fresh, good food. And you can be that provider. How awesome is that?
You can get
Right.
fresh, nutritious food year round.
It's awesome.
So
Yeah,
absolutely. Where can people continue following your journey?
We're going to update our Instagram page. Goochland Greens. Goochland is the county we live in. We want to be part of the community, part of the people know where we're from. So it's Goochland Greens, actually GooclandGreens.com as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, we would love to hear from folks and get your thoughts, questions, or advice that you guys have got. There's a lot of folks like you might suggest that are further down the road than we are, and I love learning what other folks are doing as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Bill and Cindy, for joining us on this episode. Do appreciate you guys sharing your journey. Amazing story from last year to now. I'd see big things for you, and hopefully one of you can quit your jobs this year. If you want to follow your journey more closely and connect with them more, you can just join us over at school.com/microgreens for profit. That's the free group, and they're also over there. Or you can jump in and start learning how to grow your business. Hope to see you over there. Happy
Yes.
growing. See you in the next one.
Yeah.
Thanks.